Yo, 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 what is going on, people? Welcome to Throw Down Your Questions, episode 509. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Sup, people? How's it going?
And Carlos Romero.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yeah, man, you got the Latino crew tonight, people, you know? So you got...
Latino Heat! Viva la raza!
La raza, you know? La caja. Let's fucking go, son. You know? All right. So, yeah, no Chris action, no Brian action. Rich is going to join us a little bit later. And we don't know what's going on with Brett. Daylight saving time, so he may have screwed things up. He may show up an hour later. You know? But to that end, we didn't get a lot of questions, so this show may not even be an hour. So if you're here with us right now and you got any gaming questions, drop them into the Twitch chat. Otherwise, we're just going to read what we got. But since I'm going to fill up a little bit of time, shout out to Syrian Air Force, Kiss Shack, Barry Burton, as always, Jason Miller. Shout out to all you guys. Syrian Air Force is giving respect to Eddie Guerrero. It's the anniversary or something, Manny.
Oh no, it's because Latino Heat, Viva la raza.
Yeah, so la raza, you know,
is his opening. So
yeah.
You know.
Jason, my man, hi guys, happy Sunday. What's your favorite Black Friday experience? That's the wrong kind of show, bro. You gotta ask us gaming questions. You know, yeah. Gaming questions, man. Yeah. Oh, Latino Heat. That's why Getty Guerrero. Shows how much I know about wrestling.
Latino Heat.
Yeah, man. Anyway, we're gonna get into it. Like I said, not a lot of questions. So if you got any extra, drop them now, or we will have a short show, which I wouldn't have a problem with. Obviously, daylight saving time is gonna be all fucked up. Actually, I've been all right today. You know, it was all right. You know. Yeah. How you doing, man? You had to get up early this morning.
Oh yeah, I'm still doing good. I got that fire, man.
That light of heat.
Yeah, I didn't get the. I don't need an extra. Didn't feel like I needed like an extra coffee or anything. That was pretty good. Then, granted, I did take because for those of you who don't know, I was up in New York, and me and Tony went to some shows.
Yeah.
Anyway, I took a pretty a good cat nap on the train home. So
nice.
I'm good.
PS5 Pro is next week, so I bet there's going to be more questions for next week. No, you mean this week. Remember, the week technically starts on a Sunday, so it's this week.
Yes.
PS5 Pro comes out on Friday, so, we may or may not be able to talk about it on Thursday. We shall see. So stay tuned.
Since we're talking about PS5 Pros, remember, guys, we are giving away a PS5 Pro.
Yes.
That's happening.
Yeah, that's happening. I think we may want to do it on the Thursday show, to be honest. So we got to come up with something clever.
Yes. So what usually happens? So this is I got the PlayStation from the PlayStation Direct. Usually PlayStation Direct sends you a thing the day before saying you're gonna get this thing on launch day. So by Friday I should have a PS5 Pro here.
Yeah,
for you guys.
So yeah, we'll do that. And like I said, I want to, usually what we do with big contests is we go like on Twitter and be like, hey, subscribe and leave a comment or whatever. We're going to do something different. I want this to be for the hardcore guys, the real guys. We're doing our own Steam verification process here, people, So this is going to be purely for the dudes in the Discord. So what I'll do, and Carlos, you can help me with this as well, is just throughout the week, remind dudes like, hey, you may want to tune in on motherfucking Thursday, bruh,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll do that. We'll keep you guys. Yeah, I want it to be for the real guys, not just these fly by night like a free PS4, a PS5 contest. Excuse me.
They subscribe for just the contest, and then and then they peace out.
Yeah, they never peace out.
And also one of the.
Oh, good.
Shout out to Kiss Shack for subscribing. Let's go.
Well, and related to that, Tony, that's the reason, and I'm pretty sure because Tony came up with a decision, and that's something I feel like everyone probably felt like was the right thing to do, because the only reason we're we're able to get this PS5 Pro is because of you guys. The people who tune in every week and subscribe to Prime or do super chats and stuff like that. That's the reason. So there's really no reason why it should go to anyone else other than you guys.
Exactly. That's a fantastic point. You know, instead of again some fly by night person that isn't hardcore about it. You know, so yeah, this is for you guys, from you guys technically. You know, Jason Miller, he goes. He apologizes. Don't worry about it. It's okay. But he did ask a gaming question, so I did. Then he goes, "Grown man gaming." See, that's a real fan. He listens to the show. You know. So yeah, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube, but again, we will be join the fucking Discord, guys. If you're a long time listener, join the Discord. You know, keep it in the family. Exactly, Jolly Yellow Nerd. Yeah, I'm not even going to tweet about this shit. This is for you guys that are always in that Discord. I want it to be for you guys. You know. Yeah, we'll do something simple, but we'll figure it out. Probably a fun question, like we usually do. You know, what we'll probably do is like we'll ask a question. We'll see who's in the chat. Ask a question. Then we'll do the wheel of morality. I like that, using that thing. So we'll see.
The wheel of morality. Yeah. I gotta fire. I still have that thing fired up. So we can figure out when we can use it.
Yes, yes, Kishak, exactly. You all paid for it. Not technically, you literally all paid for it, you know? So it's like appropriate that it goes to guys who are always about that throwdown life, you know? Not just let me stop talking shit. I'm talking about shit. Not just these fly-by-night people, you know? All right, man, let's get into it. First question, appropriate enough, about the PS5 Pro. For about the PS5 Pro. For those who are buying a PS5 Pro, what will be the first game you'll play? Now, this one's interesting because none of us, I don't think, are going to buy one. I don't count because I'm reviewing it, you know. Stay tuned for my thoughts. I can't say anything more than that. So I don't know if we can answer this question because no one's going to buy it, you know, not on the panel.
Yeah. I mean, I would say if I were,
yeah, we'll do it like that. Hypothetical, yeah.
Yeah, if a hypothetical, if I were to buy it, to be honest, I would. I don't know if I would want to play an older game with it.
What new game would you play?
I mean, I would like to something that would take it that could possibly benefit from it. To more of a newer title. I don't know, maybe like a Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Or,
no, Manny, you. I don't think you realize my trick question. There are no new games to play on it.
I mean, there are new play games
that are on that list of PS5 Pro compatible games.
I mean, yeah. There are on that list of pro compatible type.
There are none.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like some of those games, even though they're not compatible, like they don't have their little, I guess, whatever things, so we haven't heard much about them. But I definitely think that some games would definitely benefit from having a little bit more horsepower, you know, thrown behind some of their titles. Maybe that what's that game, Silent Hill or something like that was having some issues. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I would if anything, I would say the titles that are coming in the time, you know, like coming within this, you know, coming soon, like coming in November. I would much rather play those things. Much rather play those things than just play like, hey, look, I'm playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, or, you know, Spider-Man PS4, Spider-Man 2, you know, over again. I mean, I already completed those games. Why would I want to go back? You know, unless I was going to go back for some trophies. But other than that, I don't, you know, I feel like those games look good enough on their own.
Yeah. All right. What about you, Carlos? If you were getting a PS5 Pro, what would be the first game you play?
Yeah, if I was getting the PS5 Pro, I would play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Ooh.
It's a game that I still have yet to play, that I've been wanting to play. And according to Digital Foundry, day and night on this new console. So that's something that would be intriguing to see how it plays. But obviously, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting the PS5 Pro. $700. It's to quote Richard Bailey Jr., getting a little ridiculous. So yeah, I would play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That would probably be the first game I play. But you know, that's just a hypothetical, like you guys mentioned.
Yeah, and I want to say this. Okay, I know I don't. What I'm about to say now doesn't really apply because our fans are not fucking idiots. I'm just going to be honest, but I'm going to say it anyway. Just because nobody on the panel is going to buy a PS5 does not mean that we look down upon anyone that does buy a PS5. Right. And also, and again, this doesn't really apply to our fans because our fans are not brain dead idiots. But us not like, you shouldn't look to us to justify, or us or anybody to justify your purchase of the system, because I feel that's going to happen. Again, and just full disclosure here, since I am going to be covering this thing, I'm fully aware of the fact that people may not like some of the things I may or may not say because they're looking for justification, which I think is a bad way of going about any product. If you buy a product, it shouldn't matter, Go ahead.
If you've already made your decision and you're decided to go down the line of it, maybe the thing, maybe once all the coverage is done and all that other stuff, all the other specs and all that things eventually comes out, maybe that might be something that you would want to go for. But yeah.
Shout out to Brett who just showed up.
What up, Brett?
What up? Sorry I didn't hear the call.
No, you're good, man.
That's all good. It's daylight saving
time. We get it.
Blame it on the farmers that don't get blamed.
We blame them all the time.
Not really though.
Yeah. But Brett, you showed up with a good time. So we're actually on our first question. So you're good. The question is, for those getting a PS5 Pro, what's going to be the first game you're going to get on it? Obviously, nobody on the panel is going to buy it. So the question is now hypothetical. If you were to get a PS5 Pro, Brett, what would be the first game you would play on? Excuse me.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think that's an answer. To be honest.
So Brett, you know what game you'll play?
What's that?
The friends you made along the way.
Oh my god.
I don't know.
Will Warhammer 40K have a PS5 Pro enhancement? I have no idea.
We don't know. Yeah.
I can look it up real quick.
Yeah, look it up because Sony released a list of games they're gonna have the Pro patch. And Brett, before you showed up, I was just done telling the fans. Again, this doesn't really apply to our fans because they're not idiots. But I was just saying, don't take our skepticism of the PS5 Pro as a condemnation on anyone who does buy it. It's like, you buy it, go ahead. We're not judging here.
If you feel like you have a use for it and a need for it, like, and the budget for it, like, you do you, man. Like, no judgment. It's just, I think the criticism is more leveraged at Sony for, producing a very niche product and not a lot of reason to buy it. But the people that do have reason to buy it should still totally buy it.
Yeah. Again, this doesn't apply for it, but some people, they look to like reviewers or whatever to pretty much justify their purchase, or they take it as a personal insult if somebody criticizes something they're into. You know how it is.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, that's like getting a 90s series graphics card, right? Like, it's not necessary, and you've gone into the realm of kind of enthusiast. So by nature, like most people aren't going to get a 90s series card. Most people aren't going to get a PS5 Plus, and the problem isn't even necessarily framed as just Sony. Like, just the whole industry is not great at releasing a lot, taking a lot of chances, investing in anything other than $300 million games. So, like, it's more a thing that's indicative of the industry than, one company or another as well.
Yeah, for sure. Kish that goes pocket watching on social media is insane right now. Okay, full disclosure, pocket watching is a term I've heard before. Don't know what it means. I think I just learned it now just from context. So I'm going to assume pocket watching. Carlos, you could give me the correct thing here. I'm just guessing right now. Pocket watching is when you are very concerned over what people buy or don't buy.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, no, because you see that. And I get a lot of that too. Like, why are you interested in what I buy or don't buy? Or watch and don't watch? Fuck do you care? Like some people get very upset when I said I don't want to watch a show or I don't want to buy this. Oh, Tony, why not? Fuck do you care? You know, I'm not telling you not to indulge in it. Fuck do you give a I don't give a fuck what you do, you know? It's kind of like I told this story before, but again, we literally only got 6 questions tonight, 7 now. Thank you, Jason. So I'll just fluff it up a little bit. Years ago, this was almost 10 years ago, I think. Some guy was very upset, you know, but it was, and by the way, just so you know, this exchange was respectful, nothing bad. One guy on Twitter was very, very upset that I hadn't played The Witcher 3. And I'm like, you know, I got other stuff to play, bro. I'm good. And he was like, okay, well, I'll make a deal with you, man. This is my favorite game, so what I'll do is I'll play your favorite game, and then you can play it, and you know, and whatever. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you play my favorite game. You know, what the fuck do I care? You know, I always find that very interesting. Why people give a shit what other people are doing. Who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck, you know? All right, we'll move on here. Next up, another one from Mr. Assyrian Air Force. Will Microsoft release a disk drive add-on for the all-digital Xbox Series consoles? Who knows?
I mean, the all digital. No, they won't.
Yeah, they probably won't. Yeah.
No, I mean, like there's no on that one there is no expansion port on it. There's nothing like
okay,
that.
so they can't. Okay, there you go.
They can't do it if they wanted to. I mean, maybe if as far as I know, there's no expansion ports on there. The digital edition is just the digital edition, and that's it.
Yeah. So the answer is no. Definitive no. I didn't know they'd even have an expansion port. Nothing. Nope. Not getting it. You know. No. Blitz, what's going on, brother? You know. He goes, it always gets me why people think others actually care what they play or not. Yeah, I don't. Who gives a shit, bro? Let people play what they're gonna play.
I mean, I think I understand it. Like, you know, I think it also has to do with how people perceive the person that's saying these things, right? You know, that at least, you know, when that happened, Tony, you were also still a verified Twitter user, so you know. You're officially a part of a special club at that point in time. So
I wonder if I was verified at that time. Because this was around like 2016. I didn't get verified until 2017, so maybe not. But again,
maybe not.
But even then, even if let's just say I was verified, why the fuck does it matter? Like back then, if I saw someone was verified and they hadn't played a game, I don't give a fuck. Who gives a shit? I
think when it comes to those sorts of things, it's like your opinion sometimes means, even though you don't feel that way, but because of the lines that get drawn by stuff like check marks and things like that,
Stupid.
or how much of a following that you have, it ends up being a source, being like a position where it sort of puts you into like where your opinion somehow means more than that person.
But that's retarded.
They look up to that. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's sort of like maybe what I would like to call a minor celebrity, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's the same.
Yeah, it did mean something back then. Yeah, it did mean something to Shaq. Nowadays, any fucking jerk. But the fact is that he thought he could coerce me to play Witcher by playing my favorite game, as if I care what his thoughts on Metal Gear Solid 3 would be. I don't give a fuck.
No,
you know.
Again, but I also think that this is also coming from a position where they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
You know, they know your reputation, but they don't know who you are, and they don't know the things that you specifically care about.
You mean like these guys who are coming after me this weekend? Because how dare? Hey, Brett, you'll love this story, bro. So apparently a bunch of PlayStation guys were mad that I'm reviewing the PS5 Pro because I'm a hardcore X-bot.
I've always known this.
Yeah. Hilarious, man. They're very fucking upset. But here's the beautiful thing, Brett. I actually just learned this because somebody had to tell me, because I have all these idiots blocked, so I didn't see any of this. I had to be told this, you know? Yeah, but like, you know, Manny, that's to your point. Like, motherfuckers don't know me or anybody else. But anyway, I was gonna say we're getting sidetracked, but we are getting sidetracked because we got to fill up the show.
Yeah, we got some shows.
Yeah, Syrian Air Force, they really thought that. They thought I was a hardcore Xbot. It's like, how they lumped me in with Paris. I go, how dare they? Even though, if you've been watching Paris, he was hardcore fucking critical of Xbox for years, you know? I thought you were Nintendo. No one will ever accuse me of that, bro. I guarantee you that.
Somebody will. Give him time.
Yeah, probably not. Jason says, I agree with Manny. Some people think your position and knowledge makes people think that you're knowledgeable. I got to say this other quick story. Fucking hilarious, right? Regarding review scores, as always, and I got, this was back in the day when I still engaged in this type of shit. So I was in a conversation, and the original poster said, like, yeah, but basically I went in there saying, even if they're a fucking professional reviewer, you shouldn't take that shit too seriously. But he's like, oh, but they're professionals. They know more than us. And I'm like, okay, I'm a professional reviewer. By that token, you should listen to me. You know, your own opinion doesn't matter. Then he shut up.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's fucking retarded. Biping doesn't mean shit. You know?
No,
it's hilarious.
The thing about it, but obviously there's a form of prestige that comes to doing those sorts of things, right? You know, it's like when you first got into the game industry and you thought, okay, man, all these journals must be damn good players.
Oh,
right?
was I wrong? Fuck.
And a lot of those guys are a lot. You know, they're again, there's nothing that says that they need to be amazing players in order to write reviews or play games and write something about them. So yeah,
wait,
I think it's the same.
No. Finish up. This is crazy.
I mean, I'm done.
Okay. I remember a couple weeks ago we got asked a question. Can you call yourself a Halo player, a Halo fan, that Bungie fan, whatever, if you don't know what 343 means? I didn't really think much of the question. The Syrian Air Force just told me where that came from. You know that dude Destin, who's always getting himself into problems? Apparently he didn't know what 343 stood for. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Destin, discount Greg Miller or who?
Yeah, him. Yeah, discount Greg Miller. Manny, since you brought up another, I got Tony story time tonight, bro.
Yeah.
I remember the first gaming event I went to. This was legit 10 years ago. You know, for EA, I was checking out Fuse. Remember Insomniac's Fuse? You know, I even got to play with Ted Price and everything. You know, so this was my first gaming event, and before this, I thought if you're a gaming journalist, you had to be a hardcore gamer that just blazes through games, just fucking destroys them. You know, so I get into it. Yeah, I know, Brett. How naive was I? You know, so I get into this match with like 3 other guys. Not only do I carry my team, but I fucking annihilate the other team. I'm like, the fuck is this? I'm not going to name names. These were some big time gaming journalists of that time. I fucking demolished them, you know? And then, going to more events and stuff. Like one of the things that caught my eye or my ear was when, developers would be surprised when I would beat their game demos. I'm like, it's a fucking demo. Of course I'm going to beat it, you know? But yeah, that taught me a lesson, bro, and then I saw, at that event, you would get given like a reviewer guide, like, of what you saw. You could technically not even play the game and just go off those notes and you're good. I'm telling you, bro, shit is crazy.
Yeah, but I'm definitely sure most people really, they use those things as a cheat sheet, if they forgot anything, but yeah.
I've never used one of those things, man. I don't use those fucking things. I just write about my experience with the game. That's it, Kishak, so what you're saying, Tony, is that those guys couldn't survive a Call of Duty lobby back then. They wouldn't be able to survive it back now either. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, especially not the lobby. Oh man, don't get me wrong. I would get creamed in fucking Call of Duty. But I probably do better than those guys. All right, good stuff. Moving on to the next set of questions here from Kishak, my man. This one's interesting. It's probably the most controversial question of the night. So Brad, I hope you're ready for this one. Now that gaming discourse largely centers around the culture war, Is it possible to have meaningful discussions about gaming? Dragon Age Veilguard looks like another victim of culture BS and grifting. Yeah, it is getting very difficult to talk about gaming now because of some of this stuff. I'm just being very upfront. It is also very difficult to even do this podcast now because of this, because I'm trying to avoid some of this stuff, even though I have very definite opinions that aren't aligned with the rest of the gaming industry. But I have to be careful because I like my job, you know? So it's difficult. It's very difficult to just talk about a game, the mechanics, the fun we had. Those conversations are still there, but it's lost within all that, especially on fucking Twitter. You know, like if you talk about fucking real life, you're fine. You're fine. You don't need to worry about that. You know, people talk about what they always talk about, you know? And you know, even though it does pop up, I think you guys in Discord are pretty good about that stuff too. Just talk about the games. But yeah, it is becoming increasingly difficult, you know. Brett, what are your thoughts, man? I know you got thoughts on this, and then you could go Carlos after him.
I mean, honestly, at this point, it's become effectively impossible to have true discourse surrounding anything. I mean, like if we're talking about like true unedited opinions on things like that we're so far up that river that I don't think that we're getting unbiased just raw opinions from anybody about really like anything anymore. It's like you said, there's certain things you can talk about, and like, but even smaller than that, like, you know, Dragon Age really showed a lot of stuff, like, you know, how getting out there and getting a review score baseline affects every other review score that comes after it, which is, you know, there's basic psychology things that happen to people. I think that for some reason we assume that our institutions, especially people who are well-versed and trained in these things, we expect them to be above that sort of thing, or I guess immune to that sort of thing. And when they prove to be just as sucked in, if not more, by the kind of, for lack of a better, the charlatan acts of fucking game companies, the attempts to just tap into the zeitgeist and pander to people. It's like you, the case in point, like you can't talk about the terrible dialogue in Dragon Age. Like I've sat down, I've watched some of that. And like anybody who's had any experience or even amateur experience as a writer, or even an education in any sort of writing, can look at that and be like, that is fundamentally bad.
Oh, I'll speak on that real quick. Sorry to cut you off. The writing, at least from what I've seen, is fucking atrocious. You know?
Yeah, like it is bad, but like children's crayon drawing bad. But even that, like even just the, which should be able to be honestly like objectively demonstrable. Like you should be able to point to the bad dialogue and break it down, and they have, and be like, this is why this is bad. So you can literally like kind of deconstruct it and show on paper where it went off. And even though you have that proof, people still want to ascribe it to other reasons, like, oh, it's not bad writing, it's just that you're a racist, or I don't know, something. Who knows what the fuck they even say.
By the way, here's a word I'm coining, Brett. You're an istophobe.
Oh my god, yes. Perfect. You're an istophobe. And they kind of sound like, and even down to the fundamental, like, these are a bunch of people who have not worked on Dragon Age games before, essentially doing a fanfic and hijacking it, changing a bunch of stuff, and then acting all pearl clutchy when people have the audacity to not be into the thing that you made that is clearly not Dragon Age, but you called Dragon Age. It's not that people hate you and your isms. It's that you're like, who likes chocolate chips? We do. Cheeseburgers coming up. Like it just, I don't know how companies can have this you'll eat it and like it mentality more obvious than this. And it seems that as long as there are isms, there will be somebody to jump to defend this stuff, whether or not it's good. So we have become completely detached from reality in 95% of our discussion on this. So with that being said, like, I don't think even in the current climate, it's possible to have a strict 100% honest discussion. And I'm gonna throw ourselves under the bus.
I agree.
Accountability podcast. Like, it is difficult. Like, that's our whole thing, guys. Like, we are supposed to be here to give you that raw, unfiltered cut. And we do as much as we can without some of us risking our livelihoods in proximity to said game industry. So, like, it has gotten to the point where anymore, you're asking people to cut off their own noses. So I can tell you from experience, it's really tough to be 100% honest and real. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm walking proof of that. I mean, fuck, man. Part of my purpose on the podcast is to yell about shit that nobody else can talk about because I'm a fucking tattoo artist and I have no skin in the game. And that, when you have to have that statement where you have to have somebody that has no skin in the game, then you've reached a critical juncture of you done fucked up.
Yo, man, you got skin on another game.
Yeah.
That's a tattoo joke.
Carlos, I just want to get and I'll let you go next. Well said, Brett, by the way. I agree with everything. Yeah, again, I pride myself on being an honest motherfucker. Even though you are getting my honest opinion, it ain't the full one because I got to be careful, you know? Kishak goes, the writing on Dragon Age Veilguard seems really safe compared to Inquisition. This what I'll say about, and it's not just this game, by the way. It's a lot of recent games and movies and all sorts of stuff. The writing feels like it had to be approved by HR first. Then it was put out, you know? Anyway, go on, Carlos. What do you got to say, bro?
I feel like one of the reasons why a lot of this discourse turns to shit is because, quite frankly, a lot of you fellas are way too much on fucking Twitter. Because every time a lot of these conversations, it's all the same fucking talking points. I'm not surprised anything that gets discussed, people defending something, people attacking something, whatever side it's on, it's always the same different rhetoric. The same rhetoric. And you know, that's part of the disheartening stuff. It's not even the I can't get to say what I want to say or whatever. It's more like every time a lot of these conversations go on, it's like I'm not hearing anything new. So I feel like it's kind of pointless because we're not really having actual discussions. It's more of like, you know, what does this side say? Oh, they say this. What does this side say? Oh, they say that. And that's just sort of what's the back and forth of everything. And that's on gaming discussions. That's Twitter. I'm guessing that's what's going on Reddit. I don't know. That's on the TV shows and all that. Because I feel like going back to the discussion with Failguard, the reason why I'm not as harsh on Failguard as the rest of the panel is because I already expected this game to be trash. And if it's not, I'm not gonna be all defensive about it. If it turns out to be good, if it's good, it's good. I don't care. It's just like, I know it's a game that I'm not interested in, so I'm not gonna play it. So if people are enjoying it, let them enjoy it. But if it's something that I'm not expecting it to be good, well, that's because the game is it's a third or fourth sequel of a franchise from a studio that's dying. So there's really no reason to waste that much of my breath on going at a game that I know was likely to fail. Anthem is there. They already pretty much killed Mass Effect and all that. And going back to history, it's a lot of stuff like we have discussions about these franchises have gone to shit the last couple of years. And it's like no, I mean, we've had Lion King sequels that were trash. We had Aladdin sequels that are trash. It's like those franchises, and people weren't complaining those franchises were killed. But it's like we have these same discussions, and I feel like we can't just expect something to be trash without having or being good while attaching an ideology to it. And there are things that like Tony mentioned, there are things that you feel like you can't discuss because of you feel like your livelihood is put to the test, and I surely feel that as well. That's why I'm not too that's why I'm not on camera or anything like that. I feel like this isn't the type of medium that it's not a career, so that's not something that I'm gonna take as serious as an actual job. So I'm not gonna put everything to this. So in that way, I understand. But at the end of the day, we're just talking video games. If they're bad video games, they're bad. If they're good, they're good. If we enjoy it, and for me, it's like, if video games end up going the way of the dodo, good. It just I'm not rooting for it, but it's just something that's gonna happen, and then I'll move on. There's other things in life that are way more important to worry about than Dragon Age's fucking Metacritic score.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I fully expected this to be a trash fire, which it is. So it's just I'll say this. It's just very upsetting seeing the something you love just going to hell. But I want to do some positive. Thankfully, we have Asian games. Let's just be real. The games I've loved this year, right, all came from Asia in some shape or form. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Stellar Blade, Wukong, motherfucking Elden Ring, Monster Hunter.
And it's not the first time they came to the rescue.
Yeah, it's not the first time. So even though Western gaming, in my opinion, I'm just speaking for myself, is going to shit, the world is now rebalancing itself because now we're going back to Japanese domination of gaming, which is the way it should be, because I still feel at the end of the day, Japanese make the best video games, and they always have for a long time. They fell off in the 2010s, particularly when they try to copy fucking Western games, but yeah, Japanese, man, shout out to Korea, and even the fucking communist Chinese, got to give them some props too, so keep them coming, man. I'm down with it, again, I went back to Street Fighter 6, Japanese game, and next year, Carlos, we're going to be just in those wilds, bro, Japanese game, and I got that metaphor waiting for me, Rifantasio,
Fantasio.
So that's where I have the hope. I'm like, okay, I got my Japanese games. I'm good because they're not pushing that bullshit. So let things burn. I'm all right. I had my run with Dragon Age, even though it is very upsetting that, as we've been predicting for many, many years, EA, you know what's going to happen, man. You know what they're going to do to BioWare. I think.
Hold on a second.
I just real quick, if Mass Effect dies, which it probably will, the company's done. Go ahead, Brett.
So we've all talked about this a lot, and it's brought up a lot. I find it very interesting right now, just because of BioWare. So the weird thing is, we talk a lot about BioWare's not BioWare anymore, right? Like, those people are gone. They don't work there anymore. The people who made that magic have left the studio, and all that's left is the IP that was created, right?
Okay.
So you would think by that statement that we would care about where those people went and what they were doing. But Nightingale, which is where most of those people went and what they were doing, just laid off a huge amount of their people and shut down a UK studio because they weren't getting a lot of traction on Nightingale, because it wasn't Mass Effect or Dragon Age. So I guess I just want to ask, what are your guys' thoughts on people not supporting the talent that they say is the magic that made these companies what they are?
I would say that the problem with that is not the problem, but the reason why that's happened is because most people don't know who those people are, and that's why they're still attached to a place like BioWare, the name that they know. You know, unless you're like a Kojima or unless you're like a Miyamoto or somebody who like legitimately can make enough stink to when they leave a place that everybody comes with them. That's the issue here, where it's like nobody's going over to Nightingale because they didn't know any of those people worked on any of the Mass Effect games. But
Yeah.
like to use Toyama, the director of Silent Hill, when he left over to his new studio, they made sure to say that he worked on Silent Hill. Like
Yeah.
he created the original game. So more than the games that he created for Sony for PlayStation Japan studio, Gravity Rush and Siren. But yeah, so I think that's the situation. If they had sold whatever they were going to next, and it being like, okay, from the creators of Mass Effect, or some of the creators, or the creative director, or the like whoever it was, even though if it may not even be a Mass Effect game, try to essentially associate their names with the previous work that they did. I think they might have attracted a bit more people.
I feel like one of the biggest issues is continuity. The gaming industry, I mean, it happens in the tech industry. The gaming industry is exacerbated the issues with continuity. And you know what? You guys talked about Japanese studios. Japanese studios are impeccable when it comes to continuity. They keep their people.
Yeah.
They make it a point of pride to keep their people. And Iwata is going to take a pay cut to keep his team. That shit doesn't happen in Western development. So you have all of these studios who move around people, who have a lot of folks that are either part-time or what's that term for employees who are not salaried?
Contractors.
Contractors. You get dozens or even hundreds of contractors for a game, and they're let go either before or after the game releases. And then you have directors of huge AAA games that change all the time. I mean, we saw the whole thing with Halo Infinite. It had different directors while it was the lifespan of when it was created. So there's no sense of continuity with these studios. And people are expecting GTA 6 to be anything like GTA 5. It's going to be hard because the same people who made GTA 5 are not there anymore. The same people who made Dragon Age 1 are not there anymore. Same thing for most of the franchises you love. The people who made Call of Duty Black Ops 6 are not the same people that were there to make Call of Duty Modern Warfare back in 2007. So, most of these franchises, that's one of the biggest issues. You don't have the same people who made up these brands and build up these brands continuing these franchises, and you're just getting a whole bunch of new labor, different teams, different directors, different heads working on the same franchise. I'm looking at Fable, I'm looking at Perfect Dark, I'm looking at all these other franchises, like and people are expecting some semblance of what the franchise stood for, but when in reality, there's just a whole bunch of new people that have no clue how the original was made. That are trying to make their version of what this game is supposed to be.
Yeah,
and most of the time, it's not going to work.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Here's the thing: it could work if they at least tried to do what the originals were doing. But you're right; it is difficult when you don't have the originals. But here's the thing: you don't need the original people to make the game good. But the continuity, Carlos, is important because like for example, the guys who are making Street Fighter 6 are not the people who made Street Fighter 2, right? But there's a direct lineage, right? Somebody, if Kevin Bacon, right? Somebody along that line had worked on Street Fighter 2. If you go back, maybe some guy who was doing art on one game, maybe he became the director. Actually, that's literally what happened with Ono. So we had this direct lineage, and with Japanese, they are more respectful of what came before. Literally, you would never hear a Japanese person, or a Japanese game developer say what the Dragon Age people said, which is, we're doing our own thing. Don't worry about the past. You would never hear him say that. You know. Right. So yeah, no, I pretty much agree with what to quote Richard Bailey Jr. who's joining us. I agree with everything that you just said. You know. All right, man. Good stuff. Let's move on. Another one from Kid Shack. Why can't this is funny? Why can't PlayStation gamers accept the fact that certain IPs from their favorite studios have sunsetted and that the studio isn't going to continue making them? Shouldn't we be happy that they're moving on, or is that too much to ask? We all knew Guerrilla was done with Killzone, but apparently the news of that was shocking to PlayStation gamers not so long ago. I don't know how to tackle this one, because there's one thing that I'm kind of latching onto, that shouldn't we be happy that they're moving on? I don't think you should be happy or upset, I guess. I don't know. I find that weird. Go ahead, Brett, if you can answer this one.
This one hits home for me.
Oh,
I
boy.
feel like.
All right, go for it.
We all love Bloodborne. Stop fucking asking for Bloodborne 2. Just fucking stop it, all right? Because like the only way Bloodborne 2 is coming is if the sequel to Elden Ring or the next big project takes a back seat so that fucking Bloodborne 2 can get made, right? Like, and it's just, it's a great game. It is one of my favorite games, but it's not happening, right? It's like asking for, you know, a Firefly movie. Like it's not happening, and it's at a certain point to be like, I don't know, man. Like, it'd be weird to be thrown back into that.
But a Firefly movie did happen.
He means another one.
Oh, another one. Oh,
yeah. Sorry.
It only works once. It only works once when the fans demand it, and that they get their one.
yeah. Well, I mean, for years after that, there was hope that like, oh, you know, like somebody will pick it up, somebody will do something with it. It's a beloved franchise. It's not going to just be allowed to languish. Yeah, it is. And at a certain point, like each year, part of that fan base drops off or ages out. And so, like, if it wasn't enough to move the needle back then, probably isn't enough to move the needle now, right? Like the amount of people crying for Bloodborne decreases every year, even though the fervency of those people increases. The amount of people that just care about Bloodborne decreases, and especially like in the face of now, like, okay, well, would you rather have an Elden Ring 2 or a Bloodborne 2? Like, most people are going to would rather than put their resources to an Elden Ring 2. That's not going to happen. That's not how From Software works. But, like, most people, myself included, would rather them put the resources towards whatever they're trying and they want to do next, as opposed to try and pigeonhole them into, at this point, a decade-old project.
Yeah. I pretty much agree with that. If the studio wants to make a new game, let them make a new game. You know? Why are you holding them or trying to hold them back? And again, specifically with Killzone, that franchise was never that big, man. You know, at some point, you got to let shit go. And they obviously found more success with Horizon, so they're going to stick with that.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to go back to something that just not failed, but just didn't do what it was supposed to. You know?
I mean, here's the thing. The only reason why, why Killzone even really exists is the plain fact that Sony was looking for the Halo killer.
Yep.
To have their own Halo. That's all that reason why, like, the only reason why that franchise existed. And now, since they do have the company that made Halo, what's the use of keeping Killzone around? You could literally just sell Bungie, hey, we need one of those. Get us one of those things, and they could do it, right?
Yeah.
I gotta on that point, kind of piggybacking off what Manny said. Like, wasn't Killzone like always artificially inflated? Like, it was always artificially hyped up, and it was.
Later iterations, it did get legitimately better, but I feel like once and then plot wise, once it already, they already killed the big villains, they blew up the big villains' planet. That later Killzone game was like, okay, now all the Hellgas are like weird refugees or something like that. Well, so it's like they already ran their course already with that title. They had an ending. They got rid of the bad guys.
I mean, absolutely, but I guess I'm even meaning more. A lot of the steam for that game didn't come from the fan base. It came from incredibly heavy marketing to attempt to de-seat Halo. So like it's, you know, so many people remember Killzone not necessarily because like it's such a memorable game. So many people remember Killzone because like they tried to like buy their way into that slot, and to a certain extent they did a good job because they were trying to promote it as like, look, we have a Halo killer. So like it always felt, to me, you can always feel with Killzone the thumb on the scales, right? Like it was never really as big as they wanted you to kind of believe it was. I personally never really viewed it as a viable franchise. They just kept really trying to push it like it was one. Well past the point where some people are like this, but like well past the point where they should have been trying. As much as people enjoy some of the later Killzone games, it wasn't working, and it wasn't going to work at that point. Everybody knew it.
I mean, again, like once it's already run its course, I think it's time to move on. And should we be happy that they're moving on? I don't know if you should be happy. You know, that's a part of the question was asked. I feel like it is a good thing for a company to move on. Like, you know, if you've had, you know, obviously also to come back and do those things, like, you know, the guys at Ratchet, you know, Insomniac keep coming back and doing a Ratchet every two, you know, to fill in the spaces between some of the other games. But I feel like, yeah, like if it's, I mean, again, I think for Killzone, if it's already run its course, I think it's already done. I think they, you know, just like what Tony said, they've had their legitimate success here with Horizon, and I think as long as Horizon continues to make them money, they're going to push it. And I think, yeah, it's okay that Killzone can just take a back seat. But that's not that. That said, I don't believe that some other games might want to have like a little bit of their due. Maybe not so much Killzone, but maybe a Resistance Years Off might be interesting to go back to. I don't remember that game having a legitimate ending. Maybe, you know, I think the last was I can't remember what the conclusion to that was, but I feel like, yeah, they don't need to continue to harp on Killzone, especially when they already have the company that made the game. It's like when James Gunn took over the Suicide Squad. You know what I mean? You know, you had Suicide Squad, which was the knockoff James Gunn movie, and then you finally had, you know, James Gunn making the movie. I think this is the same situation. They got Bungie now. They got the people, well, some of the people that made those Halo games, so they could just as easily ask, "Hey, can you get us one of those?" and do that sort of situation. But you know.
No, I was gonna say, Kishak goes, it would take a miracle for a sequel for those 10 Gravity Rush fans. Yeah, that's another one that's done too.
Yeah, that's a done one. But you know what? Gravity Rush had an ending, and I feel like if they decided to take it on anymore, okay, that's fine. But you know what? It did what it was, and it didn't have a huge budget, so in and out. I'm not disappointed a little disappointed that they're not making any more, and I'm really annoyed that they lost that studio. They lost Japan studio because of just the fun stuff that was coming out of them.
That's also a really unfair assessment. Manny also liked it. That makes 11.
Yeah, or maybe Manny's one of the 10. You know.
I mean, you know, it you could I don't know. It did okay. It didn't do amazing. But you know, that's what it is.
That reminds me of a fuck. Yeah,
I would much rather see the Japan studio make something new like they always did. Right? They have a kind of an eclectic mix of games that were all sort of different sort of titles. They had a horror game. They had those, you know, the Guardian games. You know, you know, that's cool.
Yeah.
If they were still around, I would want them to do something new. What's up?
Oh, just that reminds me of the time I got to meet Robert Kirkman, and I told him I like Battle Pope, and his response was, "Yes, you and 6 other people."
That's funny. Yeah, man.
I mean, I feel like, you know, I that's what also the cynical comic creator answer that he gave. You know, he could have just said, "Hey, thanks," but your former boss. What am I going to say? He makes millions of dollars, and I don't.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't beat a dead horse into a fine, smooth paste.
All right. Next up, question from Black Metal Gamer. Do you have any thoughts about Elon Musk hinting at making a video game studio or being a game publisher? I didn't hear about this, but yeah, don't get us to Mars, bro. Stop worrying about fucking video games. That's
Yeah,
stupid.
what has he got? Like, he's a what? Come on, guys. It's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna do like Sony does? You're just gonna literally like buy your way into making titles, or or excuse me, or Microsoft did. Just buy your way into making things. Yeah, just continue making electric cars and continue to make continue to get people into space.
Yeah, Rich, what are your thoughts on Elon Musk trying to make a game?
I have a direct answer to that question. They said, "Do you think about that?" The answer is hell no. And let's move on to the next question.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
That's a kind of musky question right there.
Yes. Yeah. Kishak goes, I would tell Elon to shut the fuck up and make the cars cheaper. Yeah, that too.
Whatever.
Yeah. All right. By the way, like, remember how I say one of the we get a lot of kind of repeat questions. This is one of them from Jason Miller, but but this is also the type of question that's good to ask every 6 months or so.
Okay.
But I don't know if we're there yet because we kind of had this question last time. But maybe things change. Who knows? Are there any new games that you're looking forward to? Yeah, Monster Hunter. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Monster Hunter, and I'm fascinated by Slitherhead, the Toyama game.
All right, you got to tell us some more about that.
I mean, it's a sort of like action horror game that he sort of made. They showed it a few times, so I'm interested. See what it is. It's only a $60 game, so
you mean that's you mean normal price game?
Yeah, it's a normal price game. It's not $70.
Yeah,
$59.99. So, and you get and if you buy the physical edition, for those of you who like physical editions, it comes with an art book, a music CD, game, and all kinds of other fun stuff. So, yeah, give it a try. Why not?
All right, Carlos, I'm guessing your answer is also Monster Hunter.
Yeah, I'm anticipating, or I'm highly anticipating Monster Hunter to play Monster Hunter, but more in particular Monster Hunter in April.
Yeah, when you get back from vacation.
Mm-hmm. But
maybe
Monster
they'll delay
it. One can only hope.
Oh man. Brett, what games are you looking forward to, if anything?
I mean, I also as well. I'm looking forward to Monster Hunter. Looking forward to the full release of PAX Day when it comes out. But for the most part, and Path of Exile 2. Path of Exile 2.
There you go.
That's enough. That's something.
Yep. There you go. And
wait,
Rich, yeah, what's up?
That game hasn't come out yet?
No.
Oh, I remember talking about this like in March.
I don't know. And Rich, what about you? What games are you anticipating?
Well, unfortunately, I will say this. I am looking forward to Monster Hunter Wilds 2, but I did not get a chance to jump into beta. And I saw, as you guys was recording, Capcom put out the tweet, said the beta has now ended. So
over. Yeah. By the way, because they asked you if you want to participate in the survey, and while during the show I did that. I want to give my feedback. All right, go ahead, Rich.
That's good. So I am looking forward to that. Looking forward to Path of Exile 2. Very surprised you guys didn't mention Grand Theft Auto 6 because apparently that's if it comes out next year, I guess that's going to be one of the most anticipated games, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't forget Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. We have to see about that game. You know.
Yeah, that,
Oh man.
that sounds more like a 2026 game.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's also true. By the way, somebody I'm looking at Twitter. Somebody goes, "Guys, it happened again." Here's the headline: Horizon Zero Dawn remaster continues the series' curse as Dragon Age and Monster Hunter Wilds beta soak up all the chatter. As if Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild weren't enough. Damn, this franchise can't catch a break. You know,
Uh-oh.
another one.
I mean, this the funny thing is this one isn't as bad, but
No.
I mean it's coming off a remaster though, so
Yeah, but it is kind of funny though. I just
yeah.
Kishak asked a question. Yeah, we will take an extra question. And I'll give a shout out to Ace Ali because he said he'll take up any extra questions. So shout out to him. Is there any video game where a choice made you guys stop and go, let me think about that?
Yeah. I mean, this is a pretty obvious one because a lot of people talk about it, but the No Russian.
Oh shit.
Because my first instinct was to shoot people, but then I'm like, this doesn't feel right. So it's one of those things where it's like you felt like
Later, Otaku
it
Man.
just didn't. It felt like one of those things where, damn, I had like I thought about the decision that I had to make, and I decided not to shoot anybody. So I don't know what that says about me, but it's one of those decisions that I feel like a lot of people had to make when they played that mission back in the day.
Yeah. See, this one's a little bit tricky because, like, in most decision games, I try to play those multiple times so I can see every single decision. You know what I mean? But I will say this, and I didn't have a choice but to do this, but it made me stop for like a good minute because I didn't want to do it. But I had to because the game wouldn't keep going. I mentioned earlier my favorite game of all time was Metal Gear Solid 3. That part where you're standing over the boss with a fucking gun to her head. You got to pull that trigger. I was there for like a minute, bro. I was like, oh, fuck. I don't want to do this. But the game wouldn't let you. The game wouldn't let you. You had to do it. You know? So that was the main game where it made me stop. I'm like, fuck. You know? And I had no choice, you know? Because like I said, in choice games, I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to play it again and try the other choice anyway, you know? But yeah, that one for sure. Brett, what about you? Was there any game where you had to make a choice? You were like, oh, shit.
I mean, recently?
In general, you know?
In general.
I mean, I feel like it's pretty universal, but like, fuck, man, the first time you got confronted with what to do with a little sister in BioShock was one of those like, that's a rough decision, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
I feel like Detroit Become Human had some really good decisions. The problem is, like, there's not a lot of decisions in video games that actually have any matter or consequence. So it's usually just a stage thing that makes you feel like you've made a choice. But that also feels really transparent. So, like, it's this very small area where, like, you feel like you've actually made a choice and it's also impactful. It's a hard landing to stick, and I think it's a thing video game makers have found quite elusive because they want to make sure that you get to that heavily cinematic point and that you get the big payoff like you're supposed to, but they also want you to feel like you got there without, being led, which is patently untrue at that point. So, I think if there were a game where like I could point to and be like, I feel like our decisions and whatnot had consequences, then I think that would matter. Like like blowing up Megaton in Fallout 3, like that was a choice that had consequences. That was a choice where you're like, oh shit, oh man. But we're not really given enough choice for that question to really I don't know, hook as hard as I feel it should. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Because even when you make a decision, you kind of like when you see the consequences of it, you already know how it would have played out if you would have made the other one, because it would eventually lead to that same outcome. You know what I mean? No matter what. And you always see that no matter what decision you make, the outcome you always get a version of the same outcome. You know, because
It doesn't have to be that way. Games have done it
Brett,
otherwise.
but it is mostly that way. So
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I'm just saying I agree with you. It mostly doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Although that being said, I'm not sure what decision it would be, but I would almost actually thinking about it, from that context, it would almost definitely be some decision I made in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, there you go. What about you, Manny? Was there any choice where you're like, oh shit?
There's one of them. There's quite a few of them in Near Replicant, where there's I can't. Oh, okay, the one where. So at one point in the game, there's quite a bit of those sort of conundrums, right? There's one choice in the game where it's like there are these two kids that are in this place, in this like, and they live in front of this factory, and the factory is where they get a lot of the parts and stuff to create their inventions, but there's all these dangerous robots in there. So any single time that they go inside of this factory, they live on the there's a lot of risk to it. So apparently they're at one point they're sort of they don't have a father, or something happened to their father, and their mother went inside of this factory and she hadn't come back. So then as you go through the factory, they send you to the factory to find out if she's still there or what's up. So as you go there, you find out what actually happened to their mother, where she was essentially going to just abandon them and then leave them, and essentially was going to leave with this new guy that she had been with, but they both died in the factory. So you had the choice to whether to, number one, there's two brothers, there's an older brother and a younger brother, to whether to tell the brother that yes, you did find the mother, what happened to her, and to whether to tell the younger one. And that was one of many decisions in the game that just said, ooh, like, okay, what do we do? What happens if I do this sort of stuff? And there's some slight differences in the choices that you make. But I definitely, I would say Near Replicant, and also Near Replicant has a lot of those sorts of life conundrum sort of decisions where they're, you choose to lie to someone to preserve their idea of what that person was, symbology of what a person is, or present to them the reality. Yeah.
Cool. And Rich, what about you, Ben?
Well, I will say, in terms of making choices, I think that what you and Brett said, a lot of times you can play a game, you'll make a choice, and then, if you make the wrong choice, you can just go back and try to change the game, so to speak.
Yeah.
I have to still say, when it comes to making choices in games, I haven't found too many that do it better than Mass Effect. Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3. I know Mass Effect 2 in particular, they had that suicide mission, that final mission, where you had to have different players. You had to have particular people assign different roles. And of course, if you assign the wrong person the role, they might get killed and they're not able to complete their portion of the mission. I played that multiple times. Of course, when we got to Mass Effect 3, there's a lot of characters that I liked that unfortunately, no matter what you did, they eventually died sometimes. Now, there were some instances where you made choices that it was the right choice, I guess you could say, but they still had some definitive deaths in that game. So I would have to say, yeah, because I know when I started playing, 2 and 3, if I made a bad decision, I would always think about, well, how would that impact the storyline? And then if I didn't like what happened, then I would have to replay it again. So I think that's probably the ones that stand out for me the most.
It's pretty interesting because I thought you were going to say that the hardest game choice you ever made was whether or not to buy Concord.
Absolutely not. No.
Oh,
That was the
no.
That's a
easy
no.
choice.
That's a no-brainer.
You can't. There is the chance to buy Concord. You can still buy it.
That's funny.
Oh no, that's not good.
If you need a new coaster for your desk, you can use the game disc of Concord because that's about as useful as that game will be.
That's funny, man. All right, so we went through all the new questions, but we had a leftover question that is gaming related. And Richard, it's actually specifically for you, man.
All right, so this is going to be a controversial question. I feel it already.
It might be. It might be. We'll see.
Yep.
So this is from Jay Shep, our boy. He just wants to know how many years have you been in the gaming industry and how did you get started? So we're gonna hear Richard Bailey's origin story right now, people.
Oh man, that's going to be a very long question. We got another 2-3 hours to record here tonight.
Yeah.
No, so that's a great question. Well, let me start off by saying I've always been a fan of video games. Growing up as a kid, I think the whole agreement that I had with my parents was if you do good in school, then the reward would be, you get a game or a system, so on and so forth. We had the Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Saturn, all the systems. But to answer the question about getting started in the industry, well, I actually, if I go back in time, I didn't really know that I would actually have some type of position in the industry or even just covering games in general because, I went to school for film animation video, didn't really do too much writing. And then, of course, there was a couple of opportunities that came about. Now, I do live here in Atlanta. There was a newspaper around at the time, several years ago when I got here. This is back in like 2006 called the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. All right. They had somebody that basically used to work there that started this little blog where they were talking about video games. And what they did is they started to send, I reached out to them because I was interested in learning some more information. And I recall that they sent me a couple of games to share my thoughts on. One of those games was a game that I still remember to this very day. Batman Arkham, the first Batman Arkham game. Yes, absolute masterpiece. I love that game. That was one of the games they sent to me. And again, this was pretty much something where I did this in my free time. I would volunteer and write these reviews, so on and so forth. Fast forward to about a year after I started doing this, and I was trying to see what other opportunities were out here. And I just happened to be contacted by an individual by the name of Mr. Anthony Frazier about the Coalition. He was telling me about the website. And for those who don't know, the Coalition, also there was an article written in which the Coalition was referenced and interviewed on Kotaku. This is the Kotaku of the past. I'm not talking about the present, all right? 'Cause there clearly is a different Kotaku today than it was all those years ago. But yes, they had there was a collaboration. I believe the guy's name was Owen Good, who used to work there. He collaborated with the Coalition.
Owen Good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Oh, no.
We got a history with him too.
Oh, I got to hear that. We probably got to hear that off camera.
Yeah, no, I've told this story on camera, but finish your story first. And like I said, feel free to take your time with it because we only got a couple of questions, so feel free to take your time telling us the whole story, man. Okay,
yeah. So pretty much, they had interviewed one of our very good friends, Fergus Mills, and I believe Gary as well, and Anthony, about the Coalition because they had did a piece on Black characters in video games, and they decided the Coalition. That's let's talk with these guys. So I was reading up on all this information, And of course, it was very casual. Had a great conversation with Anthony. I got a chance to meet Gary, Edward, a lot of the other people on the team at the time. And we all clicked very well. It just felt like we were friends we had always been friends, just talking about video games. Because when the coalition started, the coalition was a combination of friends talking about video games and hip hop, because hip hop used to be good. Now it's not great now. It's not what it used to be. But back in that time, it was. So I had joined the site officially in 2009, and I initially just started writing about. Again, there were opportunities to review games. Started reviewing games. I recall that I got a game by the name of Grand Theft Auto, which was the Ballad of Gay Tony, right? I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I recall that I enjoyed the game. We had some controversy with that because somebody saw we had a fan back in the day by the name of Joe Killer.
Oh, I remember Joe Killer.
Oh yeah, you do remember this guy.
Oh yeah.
He saw that review and he tried to come after me in the comments, like, hey, who is this new guy? And why is he praising this game so heavily? It's like, but obviously I enjoyed the game. And eventually, time did pass and I, eventually we got cool with certain people. We talked to Joe Killer, so on and so forth. But basically, this is how I got started coming to the website, because I came in writing just reviews for the most part. Then I decided to experiment and, I had other thoughts, other editorial thoughts. And I mentioned earlier about Mass Effect 2. I actually wrote an article about Mass Effect 2 that got a ton of traffic on the website, because I was talking about the story elements in the game, certain plot points that I would explore in the next game. And that article did very well. That's to this day, that's probably like one of the biggest articles I've done on the website. But that led to some other opportunities in terms of doing more editorial stuff, review copies, going to stuff like E3, all that type of stuff. But essentially, the one final thing I will say is, again, let me just start by saying I wasn't really coming into this from a writing standpoint, because I didn't go to school for writing. Obviously, yes, I took a lot of different classes, and I've had a lot of other opportunities since then, writing for a lot of different sites. Actually, the job I work now, I actually write content too. But this is something where I came in because I had the passion for gaming. Ever since I was a kid, I love video games. So trying to translate that into a form of something that I can actually do, that's what I had to figure out. And I think I was able to finally figure that out. And joining the coalition definitely was a life changer for me, because I've met a lot of you guys here. Of course, everybody on the website, we've had opportunities to go to various events and, of course, interact with other people, such as the fans of this show and gamers in general. So I think still, it is the one job I've had in the entirety of the time where I've had it consistently. I don't have to worry about a layoff, nothing like that. So yeah, I got a lot of love for the coalition. A lot of great opportunities, and I would encourage anybody, if you want to cover games, don't let anything stop you from covering games. Find what works best for you to communicate how you love games, and put your work out there, and you'd be surprised what might happen, what might come from it.
That's what's up, man. That's a good story, man. Go ahead, Carlos.
So, Tony, did you start with STFU and play the same time? It sounds like the same time Rich started with the coalition.
Rich was he was doing this like a couple of years before me, I believe. When did you start with them, Rich? What year, if you remember?
2009.
Oh yeah. You were in this like good.
Yeah.
I can't do math. 3 years before me, because I really started 2012.
2012.
Wait, really?
Yeah, like officially writing for STFU Play. Remember, STFU Play didn't launch until June 2012.
Oh,
I mean,
then how did I know you before?
The Bit Bag, bro.
Yeah, Bitbag.
Yeah, remember the Bit Bag? That's how we knew each other.
And then, obviously before that, there was the Cool Stuff, the blog that Tony, me, and Adam were essentially doing
And
our
Chris.
little blog site. And Chris, yep, doing the little little site there, just doing little write ups and stuff like that. So
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Yeah, humble beginnings for all of us, man. Yeah, after the big bag. Yeah. Taco Man, I know you enjoyed those stories from Richard Bailey Jr. right now, man. You were there for some of those too.
But by the way, let me give a quick shout out to Otaku Man, because I recall the very first time that I did a podcast with everybody at the Coalition. Otaku Man was there, and we had there was a very long, intense conversation with another one of our friends. I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now. I'm sure Otaku Man knows who I'm talking about. Maybe, I think it was Haiku.
Was it Hyper? Sonic?
Hyper. There you go.
Motherfucking Hyper, man.
Yes. This guy had
Sonic
a very...
Yep.
And it's funny because we had a meeting, and it was just a very short podcast meeting, whatever. And then that conversation felt like at least 5 to 6 hours. This guy kept talking about stuff because he was in a debate with, I don't remember if it was with Andre, but he was in a debate with somebody. I remember that. And I was laughing the whole time. They're going back and forth. So that was very entertaining.
Was he the dude that only dated Asian women?
There you go. Yep. And he only likes the Japanese games.
Yep.
He doesn't like Xbox. He's been very vocal, and even as recent as a couple of years ago, Gary was telling me that he was hitting him up. Anytime he sees Xbox doing stuff, he hits up Gary and complains. So this guy is the same. He's very, very much the same as he was back then.
Yeah. Okay. Because I follow him on Twitter. He hasn't changed. Right? He's still on there praising Japanese games, praising Japanese culture, shitting on Xbox. Hasn't changed at all. So it's funny, man. But yeah, man, good stuff. All right, that's gonna do it for us, man. We did it, people. We filled up the whole hour and a half. We know how to do this. We might be professionals around here. Again, reminder: this Thursday we will select somebody that's gonna get that PS5 Pro. And that is courtesy of you guys. I was literally bought by you guys effectively because we got all that money that we're using for this. We got it off of you. So thank you for the the bits and the super chats and everything. Very much appreciated. And like I said, we're keeping this local. I'm not going to be going to Twitter doing any of that stuff. We're keeping it right into the Discord. So Carlos and I will be coming in there very much so a lot this week. Just reminding you guys, like, yo, you want to be on the Thursday show because we're going to give it away to somebody listening live that night. And we're probably going to ask a fun question, do the Wheel of Morality like we always do. And it'll be good times. And yes, we will have Otaku Man on that episode because, as a matter of fact, we may have Otaku Man announce the winner, so that'll be fun. So we'll have you on, Andre. It's going to be good. Again, you guys have been showing us love for 10 years now. We got to give it back. So let's do this,
Yep.
And we did it with the last console. We gave away a PS5, So we do it again, Rich, man, what else is going on with the Coalition this week?
So first and foremost, Mr. Adam Vale, Carlos Romero, and myself, earlier today, we recorded the season finale of the Daryl Dixon Show. Yes, it's a very good season. A lot better than I expected as a Walking Dead fan. So if you are curious to check it out, it's currently on the website and it's on our YouTube channel and it's also on all the audio platforms that we have the show available. So as for the Coalition, there's going to be more reviews coming this week. There is other stuff coming that I can't really talk about publicly yet, but I'll just say November is going to be a very busy month for the Coalition. Much like October, so stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of gaming content coming to the website.
Awesome. Again, you guys don't want to miss Thursday's show. It's going to be a doozy. We'll be giving away that PS5 Pro, so stay tuned. All right, that's going to do it for us. So make sure you throw it on Twitch and Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube and join the Discord. You definitely want to join that Discord. Especially because we got a lot of fans that I call lurkers. That just listen to the show. If you've been listening to the show for a long time, get on that Discord, bruh. Get on that Discord. You know, you want that PS5 Pro, at least get the chance, you know. And as always, join us on your what's up, Carlos?
And if let's say, because I just thought about this, if
Yeah.
you're someone that just listens on the audio boom or on YouTube
Yeah.
and stuff, and you don't
On
really
your favorite
interact
podcast app, you know.
on your favorite podcast app and wherever we catch that, if you get on the Discord and you know, just let us know, hey, been listening for X amount of time,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. That I feel like that so we can get acclimated to the name.
Yeah,
Because-
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's a great point. That's a great point. So yeah, be sure again, get on that Discord, bro. And if you want to find the Discord and links to everything else, check out the description down below. Once again, I was your host Tony Polanco, and tonight show by Emilio Lopez,
See you next time.
Carlos Romero,
Peace out.
Brett Murdoch,
Deuces.
and Richard Bailey Jr.
Have a good week, everybody.
All right, guys, you already know Thursday PS5 Pro giveaway coming at you later.
Peace.
Laters.